Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land, and welcome to DC Fans United. So today I am continuing my series of reviews by taking a look back at Countdown number 23. So I've been reviewing Countdown all the way from issue 51 down to issue number 1. As it is a countdown, you read it backwards. And I've got a playlist in the description box for all of the reviews I've done so far. So this issue is written by Paul Dini with Keith Giffen and was penciled by Tom Derenick and inked by Wayne Thatcher. The colors are by Pete Antazis and was lettered by Ken Lopez. And the cover is by J.G. Jones with Alex Sinclair doing the colors. So we'll go ahead and check out the cover. I really don't like it just because it's such an unpleasant thing to see. So Mr. Mxyzptlk is there, as you can see, and he's all chained up, and Superboy-Prime, Superman-Prime. I think for this video, since he looks like a man, you know, he's 19 years old too, so I'm just going to go ahead and start calling him Superman-Prime. But he's really a bad guy in the series in particular, so as you can see there, he's got the poor little guy all chained up. And for saving myself some difficulty, I'm just going to call him Mr. M instead of Mr. Mxyzptlk for the rest of the video, so because he's in this a lot. So we're going to go ahead and start off on the first page, and as you can see, the penciling's really good. I do like Tom Derenick's work on this. He did at least a couple of issues of Countdown, and it doesn't really do it justice seeing it on a screen like this, but I think he did a really good job. So what you're seeing here is the source wall, and there's actually some dialogue. Well, it's actually all internal dialogue, but these little blue boxes around are Superboy-Prime. And I actually like what he is thinking and what is written here, just because it gives him a little more depth, and you can see a little bit of his thinking. Like, he's in the wrong, but I like it when characters, particularly villains, have a little more to them and aren't just completely one-dimensional. So next you see a really nice two-page splash page, and you see there Superman Prime himself in all black, actually standing on one of the so-called gods who's stuck to the source wall. And yeah, you get the credits and everything. It's really amazing. Really good. So we go to the next page, and it's more of Superboy-Prime, and he's just thinking to himself about how he can't find his own Earth that he wants to get back to, and that all the other ones he finds are inferior. So he flies to a little hideout he has inside the source wall. He goes inside, and there's going to be some really dark imagery, unfortunately, but this guy's a bad guy, so he's got Mr. M all tied up, well, chained up, and you have to imagine how incredibly powerful he is to capture this guy in the first place. In one of the earlier issues of Countdown, he goes to the fifth dimension and straight up just abducts him. So he's torturing him, and you know, the little guy's pretty cool though. He's still joking around even though he's getting wailed on. And basically Superman Prime wants him to join him, or give him his power would be preferable, so that Superman Prime would have magic powers as well. So in addition to Mr. M, he's got a version of Zatanna here. Now this Zatanna apparently did some bad stuff on her world and was somewhat of a villain there, but she is still a victim in this situation because she's being held captive, because she's also an extremely powerful sorceress, and normally Superman's vulnerable to magic, and the fact he's able to capture these two and hold them captive is incredible. So we go to the next page, and this is really some good stuff. It shows you a backstory of Superboy-Prime. So you see he wasn't always a bad guy, and it shows some different stuff, like I believe the last panel there is from the Sinestro War. So all kinds of cool stuff. And then we go to the next page, and Mr. M's still just talking crap. Like, he won't join sides, and he actually basically insults Superman Prime so much that he gets really mad and uses his heat vision and burns the Superman S logo onto the face of Mr. M. And then you can see he picked him up and slammed him into the ground. It's pretty horrible. Throws him into the wall, and he goes over and he stands on his head. Oh man, I hate to show you guys this, but then the little guy throws up. We'll go to the next page. But I actually didn't review this for a while just because it's kind of a hard issue to get through. I mean, I read it, but then I was like, gosh, talking about some of this stuff is brutal. But the penciling is really good, and there's a lot of good things about it. And I do like that even though, Mr. M's being tormented so horribly, he's just a cool guy throughout it and keeps joking. And he's like, I couldn't play you straight if I tried. Everything's a joke. And he even tells Superman-Prime if he had taken a different approach and just asked him to help, he probably would have, but doing this whole torturing and thing isn't going to work. So Superman gets really mad, takes a piece of the source wall, I guess, and heats it up and gives it to this version of Zatanna and tells her to kill Mr. M. So then the scene changes, which it's pretty amazing in Countdown for the story to stick with one character for 10 pages, so it's surprising the scene hasn't changed sooner. But again, the art's really awesome. I love this page. Eclipso's female right now. Eclipso can take different forms, it just depends. But anyways, you see Eclipso talking to Mary Marvel. It's really awesome. And basically Mary's like, why'd you try and sell me out and get me to join Darkseid? And Eclipso basically just sweet talks her again and starts to get her to believe what Eclipso's saying. And then all of a sudden the asteroid they're on gets blown up. And we see a full-page splash page with a fleet of starships. And then we see these wacky aliens. Well, I don't think they're wacky, but you see these crazy aliens from Invasion? DC Invasion from, like, late 80s. But they're only here for a little bit because they get blown up. And then we find out that the Monarch, we've already known his armies are going around the multiverse. And essentially he's just training. He's having them attack different fleets and armies and stuff. His Navy or Space Force, whatever you want to call it, just destroys the invasion force there easily. And then he's got Ultraman working for him too, among a bunch of others. So Ultraman goes up to Lord Havoc, who is basically the Monarch's second in command now. And Ultraman says, why did you have the ships attack them? I could have destroyed the fleet myself. And Havoc's like, well, yeah, so could I. But the point of this was to train the troops. So just kind of interesting, just showing how the Monarch's getting stronger and stronger. So we go back to Superman-Prime. Poor little Mr. M stabbed through the chest, but poof, he's still alive. And it turns out Zatanna and Mr. M, of course, are working together because why wouldn't they? Superman-Prime gets so mad, he throws the little guy and then just flies away. And he actually says, I don't need magic anyway, jerks. So, he's still really immature. He flies off, and Zatanna here, this version of her, they don't really say what Earth she's from, I don't think. But she gives Mr. M a trip back home that she says, he was right about me. On my world, I was cruel. The things I've done, the people I've hurt, perhaps the nightmare was karma's way of getting even. So she stays behind. Superman-Prime goes outside and destroys that part of the source wall with his heat vision. So I assume she died. And the poor little guy flies off. Mr. Mxyzptlk flies back to the 5th dimension. So that's the end of the issue. Now, this is really cool. There's an extra 2 pages at the end that are just bonus, and it's the backstory, the origin of Mr. Mxyzptlk. So definitely check that out. The artist on that's Kyle Baker, and it's written by Scott Beatty. So I really like little origins they put at the end of a lot of these issues. Alright, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. That's all for now. Be sure and hit the bell for notifications and subscribe if you aren't subscribed. And as always, thanks for watching and being a part of DC Fans United.
End of line.